God has allowed me to wake up fat and hot again today, and I'm just here to make it everybody's problem.
God didn't allow you to wake up this morning. Luck did. You're playing the lottery with your health every single day you decide to stay obese. How many times a day do you have to brainwash yourself to think that this affirmation is true? It's great that you're confident and you feel that you're hot, but being obese isn't something you should be proud of. You won't be smiling when you find out that you can't breathe properly at night and you're going to need a sleep apnea machine so that you can wake up every morning. This whole fat acceptance, fat liberation thing is all fun and games until your doctor tells you if you don't lose weight, you're going to unalive way sooner than you thought. Or you're going to have to take insulin shots for the rest of your life. Does that still bring a smile to your face? And God allows you to wake up every day to make your fatness a problem for everyone else? What kind of God would want anyone to spread toxic messages to vulnerable people? You must have a lot of time on your hands to make it your mission to spread your fatness all over the internet. Lose some weight and work on your mental and physical health to improve your chances of waking up every day for years to come.
Associate with you if you're fat. That's when it matters, because who you hang around with truly does impact.
I think she thinks it's catching. Back in 2007, there was this study that showed essentially that being friends with fat people or being related to fat people increased your chances of being fat yourself. And after that, there was this panic about the obesity epidemic and how you shouldn't hang out with fat people because that would make you more likely to be fat. So the idea that it's catching is not new. But what no one ever seems to consider is that maybe the reason that fat people are more likely to be friends with other fat people is because other fat people are less likely to judge us and be bigoted and not want to associate with other fat people because they are that freaking afraid of looking like us. Honestly, it's kind of hilarious to me because imagine being so afraid of being fat that you literally convince yourself that by being around fat people, you'll become fat by osmosis. But let's be real, being fat may not be catching, but social ostracization sure is.
So, the first woman in this clip said that she wouldn't associate with anyone that's fat, but she feels who you hang around impacts your life. I think that's true. The ones you hang around could impact your life, but deciding not to associate with someone because they're fat, I'm gonna have to disagree with. I don't want to spend too much time on this first woman, maybe in another video. I want to talk about the study the second woman mentioned. So I did some digging and I found the article she was referring to. The article starts off by saying, "Can having obese friends increase your risk of packing on pounds? A new study suggests it can if you're a man." She forgot to mention that last part. It goes on to say, the study finds that the obese epidemic can spread like a virus through social networks. When a person becomes obese, his friends and siblings are likely to gain as well. This may be due to the fact that friends may subconsciously share ideas about what constitutes a healthy weight. I'm not going to read the whole article here, but I'll give bits and pieces here and there. I'll link it in the description below if you want to check it out. Nothing in this article said to stop hanging out with obese people. It basically says people can be influenced by the people they hang around. She clearly did not read this whole article. There was no panic about the obesity epidemic and how you shouldn't hang out with fat people. Like she said, you said that fat people are likely to be friends with other fat people because then people are more likely to judge you and be bigoted. That isn't true. This happens in the fat acceptance and body positivity movement all the time. You judge yourself in your own space. Small fat, mid fat, super fat, and fit fat. Ring a bell? You know, the fatness spectrum. You are not allowed to talk over a fatter than you, or you'll be judged. If anyone you call a friend is judging you all the time, are they really your friend in the first place? In the case of friendship, it's not about the person's size. Are they a decent human being? You said it's hilarious to imagine being so afraid of being fat that you literally convince yourself that being around fat people, you become fat. You can't catch fatness by standing next to someone that's obese, but you can become obese if you start taking on the bad habits that obese person has. You become fat in your mind first, then your body follows suit. You end by saying, being fat may not be catching, but social ostracization sure is. People get made fun of for all types of things. I'm not saying that is right, but it is human nature. You are allowed to exist as a fat person, you know. No one's kicking you out of society for being fat. Stop using this as an excuse to justify your bad eating habits and lack of exercise. Society is not going to accept your twisted take on fatness.
I know I shouldn't feed the trolls, but I really needed to discuss it. I am asking for acceptance and inclusivity for Disney. That is all I've asked. I've never attacked anyone. I've never said anything bad. All I want is to be accepted for who I am. So you can just see yourself out of there. Bye, Felicia.
The comment says, it's the same videos complaining that the rides don't fit everyone. They made a special seat that is acceptance and inclusive. She calls herself Vicky Plus Size Travel Blogger. And from what I see from her TikToks, she goes to theme parks and tests them to see if she can fit on each ride. She's asking for acceptance and inclusivity for Disney. And all she wants is to be accepted for who she is. But in this TikTok, she claims that Disney was the most plus-size inclusive place.
Walt Disney World is the most plus-size inclusive place. They are wonderful. Big bench seats on tons of rides, plain seat belts that just have to hook. Not a lot of really big, crazy harnesses to get in and out of.
I'm trying to understand what you're asking for. You are able to go on the rides. You are accepted at Disney. You got access to many rides. I've seen it in your TikToks. Now, if you're talking about someone who's bigger than you that's trying to get on these rides, I'm sorry, but that's their problem. If you want to ride on a theme park ride, you must be a certain height and weight. It's set up like that for a reason. If a short child has to wait until they get taller to ride on certain rides, then you must lose weight if you want to participate and ride on those same rides. Hey, if you're too big to get on the rides right now, nothing's stopping you from walking around and exploring the rest of the park. Like you said, there's big bench seats to sit on everywhere.